I was treated very disrespectfully by my partner at that time, who, as I was pursuing and furthering my education, it was really making him uncomfortable. It was really making him feel a certain way the higher I went up. And that to me is his own insecurities. I've been told, I got to a place where I even had my professor, a Black man, as I'm pursuing my doctorate, ask me, "Are you in a relationship?" I said, "No, I'm not." He said to me, "It's going to be very hard for you to find someone once you finish this degree." I will never forget that day. So when I say this is a thing, I'm speaking from my own personal experiences. It's really a thing.
And we are going to view a clip from the show 2 weeks ago, where I asked the brothers, why, if they were intimidated by a Black woman's success, and they got a good chuckle out of it. Let's take a look. Why is it? And Sweet Jones, I'm gonna come to you with this. Why are Black men threatened by successful Black women? Why must we both struggle? Why, Sweet Jones? Why are you intimidated or threatened by successful Black women?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know. They want to know it. They want to know that question.
Yeah. Why you intimidated? You the one who told them that we was intimidated, Sweet Jones. Why you do that, man?
Bro, I ain't said no such thing. I suppose it's a thing, but at the same time, bro, I don't really understand it, man. Like, why do they think because they're successful that if we don't, I guess, see things the way that they see them, or if we don't approach them when they want to be approached, or whatever it is that they're pouring into this whole scenario, you know what? I think that's a question for a woman, dog.
So Hanifah, why do you think the brothers responded that way to the question that way?
Well, most men do respond that way. I think there are men out there who are intimidated. I don't know if I would say intimidated. I just think that they don't want to be in the presence of a very successful woman because of what it does to them and their own, insecurities. It probably just shines a light on it. But when men hear intimidation, I think most of them interpret it as like fear. Like, we're not afraid of you because you're success. I think that's how it's being interpreted. But I think when women say it, it's more so like, well, men are not approaching me because I have a Ph.D. or whatever that is. And there probably is some truth to that. Because there are men out there that you hear it right here all the time on the internet that, we don't want no woman with all of this education, and, they exist. But I'm going to say this as well. I think that some women also need to recognize that it's not all about what you've acquired. It's not all about your degrees and the amount of money you make. Sometimes you just have a nasty ass attitude. Okay. And you think it's those things, but the men are not telling you what it really is. Okay. And so now you can't no one has checked you on your attitude. So now you have to go down your list of things that what it could possibly be as to why you're still single today. And all you can come up with, because you have no self-accountability and you lack self-awareness, right? All you could come up with, well, you know what? It must be because I make so much money. It must be this. And it's not that way for every single guy. I just wish that we would start talking to each other openly and honestly, so that we could start like making whatever adjustments we need to make. I'm talking about both men and women. Just having open conversations like, dude, I don't like you because you're 50 and you wear your hat backwards and you wear jerseys and you still sag your pants. Like having those conversations versus ghosting him. The same thing with women. The same thing with men. If it's her attitude, then tell her that. I know a friend where a guy actually told her that, right? That she comes off a certain type of way. We talked about it. She didn't like it, right? But she had no choice but to hear it. And they stopped dating, but it still gave her something to think about, right? And her being who she is, she was able to say, like, I know what he meant when he said that. And I, being her friend, I understood what he was saying as well. She's from New York. New York women are a little bit, and so I think that, and he's from the South. I'm being honest. He's from the South. And I think that's what he was picking up on. But I think the labeling of it is where he went wrong. We could do a better job of communicating to each other. That's an area we need to work on. But I think it's two things. I think there are men who are intimidated. And I think that there are men who are just turned off by Black women's attitude. Because if we're really honest, a lot of us are walking around with chips on our shoulders. And we are always ready to, and of course we could get into the factors as to why that is, but it doesn't change the reality, right? We could talk about why that is all day long, but it does not change the reality. So if I see a woman and she's always mad and always screwed face, and I'm not talking about smiling at every man because I hate that conversation too, but being polite, being kind, it doesn't take anything from you. Black women act like that with other Black women. So I know they're acting like that with Black men. So I know that that's a factor as well. But I think it's, again, this is also another layered conversation, and we're trying to have them in very black and white ways, because there's a lot of factors that contribute to these things that we're discussing. But no, majority of men are not intimidated by women's success. Majority of men are turned off by successful women's attitudes. That's it.
Yeah, you know what? I'll save my comment on this one for the end. Yeah, Q, I'm coming to you, then Doc, then Miss Ebb, then Ma'at, and then Miss Ebbs. Since there's a lot of talk about New Yorkers, so I know a New Yorker would. I'm gonna let a New Yorker close this one out. Q. What do you think? Like, why do sisters believe that men are intimidated by your career or academic success? Why do they believe that?
This sister doesn't personally believe that. I don't subscribe to that belief. And that's because I'm able to speak from my own life experience. My own life experience is and has been that the men that I've encountered have appreciated a woman's success because they value what she brings to the effort, which is the family. Mm-hmm. So I think this is a conversation where it really is based on the thinking of the individual. You can't say that men, all Black men, are intimidated, because I grew up in one of the richest Black counties in the country, where the majority of men, they would tell you, yeah, I'm making this, but she making that, and as long as she making that, I'm good. Mm-hmm. I grew up around men that understood what that woman brought, and they appreciated it. So again, I think it goes back to what Hanifah said, the notation on the word. Mm-hmm. When you say intimidation, if there is a dislike, I don't think it's because they're intimidated. I think it's because there are a lot of women. I have some who are very close to me. They are lovable around their girlfriends, but when it comes to that man, it's like, sis, you ain't figured it out yet. You are successful. You have boom, 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 but you can't keep that man because your attitude says, I have boom, 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 so kiss my ass, and he don't have to. Right. Because he's also worked enough that he has boom, 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 and he doesn't have to deal with this attitude. Mm-hmm. So there is that accountability. But as far as Black men actually being intimidated, I I don't personally believe that the majority of Black women think that Black men are intimidated. I think that if a woman does think that there is a projection there, and that maybe there needs to be some look inward to be, because like attract like, right? That's the law. So if you are not attracting what you want, then it goes back to looking within. I don't have any other way to answer that than to say that, because I don't believe that I see more appreciation for what it brings to the group effort, the family, than this versus battle that's always put out there.
Well, I mean, I know you say it's a versus battle, but I mean, you know, sisters and brothers, we really think differently on a number of issues. And sometimes I know we engage in that little back and forth. We engage in the recriminations. So it's not like it's inauthentic, the disagreement that exists between Black men and Black women. I'm looking for somebody. I know somebody has to, because brothers hear it so much about being intimidated. All right, and we had a sister in the chat who said, "Nope, this is a real thing," and there are a number of women who believe that. So so far, I haven't really heard anybody. Doc, I'm coming to you. Why do sisters believe that Black men are intimidated by their careers or academic success? I mean, and if you believe that, can anyone share some examples or your thoughts?
So thank you. I kind of waited really patiently to hear out my sisters over here. And whereas I can respect what they're saying, because I don't believe it's all men, but it definitely is a thing, and I'm a living witness to it. I've had many experiences of it, and it's not because I'm nasty. I'm very down to earth. I love to have a really good time. I'm a lovable person. That's who I am. But I've also been, I was told, hey, I can't date you. You make more money than me. That's going to be a problem for me. So we won't work out. I've been told, or I was treated very disrespectfully by my partner at that time, who, as I was pursuing and furthering my education, it was really making him uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It was really making him feel a certain way the higher I went up. And that to me is his own insecurities. Mm-hmm. I've been told, I got to a place where I even had my professor, a Black man, as I'm pursuing my doctorate, ask me, "Are you in a relationship?" I said, "No, I'm not." He said to me, "It's going to be very hard for you to find someone once you finish this degree." Mm-hmm. I will never forget that day. So when I say this is a thing, I'm speaking from my own personal experiences. It's really a thing. And it's sad as hell, because where I'm looked at as I'm some liability, and knowing my worth and knowing who I am, I would appreciate a brother who could see me as a partner and we go and do this damn thing together. But yet it's viewed as, oh, and I don't come off like I'm this, I'm that. I don't even tell people I have my doctorate. I stopped. I didn't even want, when I introduced myself, even in my professional realm, I don't mention I'm doctor, because I've had that. I've had many experiences of it being something like, oh, I can't touch you, or, oh, you too far up here. So since you're up here, I can't really vibe with you because we don't have things in common because you're here. And that's not the case. Get to know me. My title is my title, is what I earned. My money is my money. I earned it. I get up and I go to work every day. But I'm not throwing my money around in nobody's face. I'm not throwing around my education in no one's face. I'm not doing any of that. Now, to Hanifah's point of the nastiness, the nasty attitudes and all that, those things truly happen. I have seen other women, other Black women treat people, not even men. I'm talking about people, because it's about their status and it's this and it's that. And these titles, they take it to a whole nother level, right? Like even after I got my doctor, I didn't even tell my friends, didn't even tell my friends up here in the DMV. I clearly remember that my brother was like, we're going to take you out and celebrate you. And when he told the rest of the crew, they was like, she got a what? Like, she what? Like, that's how I am. So I'm not one of those people going around flossing and doing the most. I have earned everything I have, and I've been looking to share those things with someone, and someone not look at me like I'm some liability. So it definitely is a thing, and Black men need to stop that shit. Because if you can say, this is my girl, this is my woman, she's here, she's doing her thing, I support her, girl, where is it any more degrees you want to go and get? Go get it all. Do what you need to do for you. Because as a unit, we make each other look good if it's all about that. If it's about you wanting to feel a certain way or wanting to have a certain status of some sort, like that's what I gather from some of these men, Black men. Like, I don't understand the logic behind it. I don't, but I'm speaking from my own experience. So I can't even stress enough how important it is to look at successful Black women as, yes, you're successful, but we have needs and wants and desires too. We're not inhumane because we have a certain degree or we drive a certain car, we live a certain house, or we whatever, how many ever labels you got in your closet. That doesn't mean shit, because at the end of the day, I still want to be loved on. I still want to have a partner. I still want to be intimate. I still want all of those things. So forget all that title stuff. Like, what can we do on the other end? That's where I'm at.
Okay, so, before I move on to my aunt, I have to ask this question. Is it possible, and I'm not, take yourself out of the equation, that, for some of these career women, is it possible that the men don't want to get with these women, not because they're intimidated, but because they know that the woman is a career focused woman, and that she's going to put her career before she puts him. She may be too busy to hang out with him, maybe too tired to have sex when he wants to have sex. Maybe, as far as like, excuse me?
Does he have a career?
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Oh. Okay.
I'm just saying. And so maybe because of those things, he just feels like, hey, she has too much going on. Is that possible? That maybe.
So yeah, that is possible in some cases. Yeah, it is. But if you are one that's pursuing your career, and if you want to be in a successful relationship, then you need to pursue it as well. You need to put your energy into that as well. So it can't be one dimensional. You can't just be out here wanting to go up the ladder professionally and for your career, but not take care of things on a personal level. That's not how that works, especially if you want something to work for you. That's definitely not going to be effective. So you have to, it's a balance. You got to have that balance. But I feel like you should stop pursuing your career and stop pursuing your degrees or whatever you want for a relationship? No, I do not. I don't feel like you should lose who you are for any relationship.
My aunt, Ph.D. doctor makes some good points as to I mean, we know that it happens at least some of the time, but by and large, a lot of men would say it's a bit of a stretch to say that men are intimidated by your academic or career success, right? most men, I'm speaking now for the male delegation, the delegation of brothers, that amongst ourselves, if you have a friend who has, I don't know, he's a great business person or he has a degree, as long as he doesn't go around boasting, his friends will be his biggest cheerleaders, and they'll be the ones speaking him up. And I have to believe that the same is true when you're talking about your woman or your wife. If she makes you feel like a man and she never, never walks around wearing her title on her sleeves, because you have a lot of people who do that. They wear their academic and career success on their sleeves. Like, hey, take a look at this, take a look at that. And if you're not doing that, most men would actually celebrate the success of their women. So, I mean, what say you to that? And then tell me what your thoughts are on as far as sisters believing that men are intimidated by their success. You're mute.
I apologize about that. Yeah, so I think with men, we have to understand, again, like Hanifah said before, that they're creatures of logic. So I know when I'm in discussion with my husband, he's always leading with logic, right? And I'm always saying, okay, well, the logic, you can't just like, you just can't put logic out there. You gotta have some emotion there too, right? So I think a lot of times when we have these conversations, and this conversation is extremely layered, it's not black and white, but men are also looking at what mindset is going to raise their children, because most men want children. So they're also looking at what mindset in this woman is going to raise my child. What are her, even if we don't call them values, even if men don't call them values, in a sense, they're looking at this woman's values, this woman's what is leading her, what is she gonna get up and do every day, and how will that affect our family? So I think a lot of times when we hear the whole conversation about intimidation, I think from the men point of view, it is, yes, they want someone who is going to be there for them, help one another. We're going to help one another on our journey. But at the same time, I think from the women's point of view, sometimes it can be a cop-out, because if I'm not chosen, it's because I am coming with I'm coming with these degrees. One thing that I want to say about what Peach, is it Peach Doctor? Dr. Yeah. Peach? Peach Doctor? Okay. What she said is losing myself to be in the relationship. And so the thing is a lot of women, and I think men do this too, but a lot of women will say that, like, I still have to be able to be who I am. Well, to me, a degree or your career is not who you are. It's just it's something that you attained for the path that you decided to go on. So who you are is on a deeper level. And so, sometimes when you do go and you are on you're getting into relationships, some women, not talking about you, Peach Doctor, but some women, they do lead with their degrees. And, because it's even a turn off when men do it. If men lead with what they consider to be valuable, like their cars, their house, their degrees, their salary, that is a turn off in itself. So when women do it, it's just really a replication of that masculine thing that thing that I'm not going to even say masculine, but it's that thing that men do. Is like, I see men do it, so I'm going to do it too. And it's a subconscious thing. It's not necessarily a conscious thing.
One second, one second, Ma, and I'll let you finish. But you bring up an interesting point, and there is a scene in the movie Think Like a Man where Taraji P. Henson's character, she dumped her boyfriend who was trying to start his own business. He was a cook. And the hypergamous nature of her kicked in when she saw an old boyfriend. She saw that he was suited and booted, and he had this fancy car. And then when they went out on a date, she realized that this man was, all he did was lead with his accomplishment. Everything was about him. And so at that moment, she's like, man, this guy is probably a narcissist. He loves himself. There's no way he can love me as much as he loves himself. And then she left him, and then went back to, I can't remember the guy's name, the guy with the green eyes. Anyway, but I just wanted to illustrate, right, Michael. I wanted to illustrate an example of what you were talking about. Okay, continue, Ma'at. I'm sorry.
No, so I think that it's one of those things where it, like we said, it's layered. So when it comes down to it, like women feeling that it's a reason behind it, it gives them a reason why they haven't been chosen, because for some reason we have deemed not some reason, we know the reason behind why we have deemed money, wealth, salary, career as a hierarchy of value. And so we think that because we've gotten those things, it's like almost like it makes our market value go up. Like, so you're not choosing me because even though I have these degrees, even though I do make this amount of salary. And so then it comes down to, okay, I'm at a certain age now and I haven't been chosen. So it can only be because of this. And I will say that there are some men out there that will not be honest and say, this is why I'm saying that I'm not choosing you because you make more money, but it could be, I don't agree with your values. I don't like your attitude. I don't think that you'll be able to be there for me, or you are not going to raise my children the right way. There's a lot of different reason, because he's like, if I have a career and you have a career, who's actually going to be raising the children? There's so many dynamics to it. And like I said, it's too layered to really have a straightforward answer for it. But I do tend to agree that, or I say that it's sort of a cop-out for women, because if you take away the degrees and you're still not chosen, what is it then? You got to start doing that self-analysis of, if I never told a person that I didn't have these degrees, then what is it? Then what is the other reason behind me not still, in a sense, being, quote unquote, being chosen?
Right. Miss Ebbs?
Going back to that movie, she wasn't hypergamous. She was looking for a man who made equal to her, because she had risen so far up in the ranks that she was running things. So,
yeah, but that's part of hypergamy, is equal or more. Yeah,
she wasn't looking for a level and up. She just was looking for someone who she felt like was on that level with her. Which I also think the higher up you go into the ranks in anything, the lower the dating pool if you're just looking for someone up there, right? So, co-sign to everything everybody said. I have had experiences both ways where it can be some type of attitude, or it can be some type of intimidation. I think sometimes we get taught these things. And I also think that the word intimidating is offensive to men when spoken about regarding women, because we are the weaker sex physically. So I think the word gets that reaction at times because there's some type of offense that's taken to it. based on a lot of other things. Like physically, we're weaker. And so maybe you shouldn't be intimidated by something that's weaker than you. I'm offended if someone says I'm intimidated by something that I'm not, but maybe there is something there in the middle where, like Dr. Peach said, I don't think she's making up those experiences. I don't think these experiences happen to just Black women who rise higher up the level. This is something that's spoken about across the board. I just think the higher up in rank you go in some things, the harder it is to find whatever level you think it is, the harder it is for someone not to be intimidated, because it is very impressive to have doctor in front of your name. And I also think a lot of this goes back to a really competitive mindset when we should be complimenting each other. Like, I don't want a relationship that's not a partnership. And I think, you know, that's why Q mentioned the versus battle. I think some of this is not realizing that teamwork
makes the dream work.
It really does make the dream work, right? Mm-hmm. And if I'm in competition with you, I can't see your value.